So welcome once again. Welcome back in the online classes or in your channel Ramanujam santo. Whatever you are watching about your online classes for the class 10. As you know that the chapter's footprints, according to this chapter, you will get these things. Might be edited in 5 or 6 chapters according to your textbook. So I hope before that in previous classes already we have mentioned about that. This is the first, you can say this your book's name, the textbook, so that I want to clarify this thing, so that according to the chapter we will go through this and we will let you know, right? So here is, I hope any questions, then let me know, but that's you didn't understand. Are you there? So I hope you are getting all information, and we have sent a clip also so that you will not face the same problems whichever we were talking about, right? Here this whole story is you can say about this the scientist who had invented, that is were discovered you can say the drugs, which is highly you can new discovery for them, and somehow he misuses this also, right? Here we told also that the story is about a scientist who discovered a potions, a power to make a man invisible. We talked about before that we have read John Albert and how to make invisible weapons. And we talk about some things, invisible things, whichever I told you this already has been invented by the countries, whichever we already discussed. If you want to know about these things, then you can write or you can comment, so that I would like to make some more information about that, right? So what are you getting here? After swallowing this potion, the scientist turns to various missives. He steals clothes from supermarkets, and what happens? Then steals lots of cash also. As you know that anything, for there is a two parts. One part is, we can say that is for there are some good things, and the next part is and every coin have there are two parts. One is, you can say, head and tail. One will be dark and the other side will be the light. One side will be positive, the other side definitely will be negative. So here we're getting this, definitely the scientist is very brilliant, eccentric, no doubt. He discovered the things, this is no any doubt. He has experience, and definitely he's a very good personality in his, you can say, the knowledge, no doubt. But how he is using this thing, this is the looking the matter, and how the people's, like, the landlord also don't like him. The name of the scientist Griffins, who discovered a rare drug that could make a naked man invisible. He decided to take revenge from his landlord who didn't like him. While he set his landlord's house on fire and drank his drug, he could see everyone's but none could see him. The story is about, instead of using that rare drugs for people's sake of benefits, how Griffins had misused the same and troubles other people. In this chapter 7 to 10 question also available, moving about the same things, that how would you like this and that, right? So in these chapters we learn that a story of an eccentric scientist Griffin who discovers a rare drug that could make a naked man invisible, right? And I told that's how he plans to murder, kill his landlord, right? What was the mystery behind footprint? If you're talking about the mystery, then you can see the two boys followed muddy footprints being made, phrase without seeing anybody, making the prints. That means the boys are following the footprints, the prints which was that the bewildered boys had been following us. Scientists who had just discovered how to make the human's body transparent and thus invisible by swallowing certain drugs. That means the capacity, that is this in John L. Baird. If you have read, then definitely you have heard this, how John L. Baird became somehow the latest and Baird, you can say this people's were knowing. That might be this is the same persons, but there is no any proof. That's why the corpse we are not able to catch him, right? So a very interesting thing here, that can a man become invisible? Can a man become invisible? The story of a scientist who discovered how to make himself invisible, right? Zirfin, Griffin, Zirfin, he discovers the rare chemicals which can make a man invisible, but at the same time the man can be touched and feel physically, right? This is definitely very interesting. And if we're talking about this author, then I told you that's Herbert George Wells. His time period was 1866 to 13 August 1946. Was an English writer. He was a prolific in many genres, writing dozens of novels, short stories, and works of social commentary, satire, biography, and autobiography, and even 2 books on recreational programs. He is not best remembered for his science fiction novels and is often called the father of science fiction, along with Jules Verne and Hugo Gernsback, right? We talk about these things. The story I told you is moving about this Griffin, this brilliant scientist. He had been discovering ways which could make a man invisible and finally swallow certain rare drugs which I talked many times seems invisible. He was first noticed by 2 boys in a staircase of a house where they could just see his footsteps and started following it. They follow it until the footsteps are fainter and cannot be seen. Thus, as he is feeling scared, he enters a mall for some grog. After the store shut down, he decided to wear some warm clothes and eat something. So you are getting these people, they have a power, but how they start misusing their power. He first unboxes a few clothes and wears charms the crew, then forms the kitchens of a restaurant. He eats full meat and some coffee. Later he goes to a grocery store and he sweets and drinks wine. That means in thinking this all over the world in his hands, whatever he's discovering, getting exalted about his intellectuality. He then falls asleep when he feels of a quills. He then wakes up in the morning, so when some of the store assistants have been seeing him and started chasing him. What happened? once again, before that we are chasing or following these two people. Now the store assistant had seen him and started chasing him. He quickly threw away all the clothes he was wearing and became invisible again. Then he started roaming around again without any clothes in the cold winter of London. So definitely this is a very interesting story from the London, He then decided to steal clothes from a theater company as he knew he would get something there to cover his face as well. He then steals bandage for his face, dark glasses, false nose and a hat for covering himself. He then he's the shopkeeper and steals all his money. Whatever. It's a very interesting people, if they can get this types of discovery, definitely whatever he gains develop. So when he realized that London is too crowded to live like this, and decides that he would go to a remote village. He books 2 rooms at inns at the lines at the Lippings village. He reaches there, and it is strange for the peoples of Lippings that are strange with such a weird appearances has come to say at ends during the winter seasons. Once his money is over, he steals from people, and also he is the landlord and his wife when they try to check his rooms in his absence. Then the village constable is asked for help, but before that Mrs. Halls, the wife of the landlord, asks him questions regarding who is and what he did to her furniture. This makes him really furious, and he decides to show her who he really is. The people then see a headless man, and Mr. Jeffers, the constable, also finds out that he would have to arrest a man who does not have a head. They are unable to catch Jeffers as he removes all his clothes and becomes invisible. He even knocks out Jeffers as he tries to catch him. So the prize started in surprise. The phrase "Mary in front of a pair of bare feet." Before I told you what was a barefooted man doing on the steps of a house in the middle of London. And where was the means as they gazed, a remarkable sight met their eyes. A fresh footmark appeared from nowhere. Further footprints follows one after another, descending the steps and progressing down the street. The boy followed, fascinated, until the muddy impressions became fainter and fainter, and at last disappeared altogether. So the mystery was really simple enough. The bewildered boys had been following the scientists. We who just discovered how to make a human body transparent. The scientists had carried on experiments after experiments to prove that the human body could become invisible. Finally, he swallowed certain rare drugs, and his body becomes transparent as a sheet of glass. Through it also remains as solid as glass. Brilliant scientist, through he was referenced, was rather a lawless person. His landlord dislikes him and tried to exact him, and revenge set fire to the house. Before that also I told these things to get away without being seen. He had to remove his clothes. Thus it was that he became a homeless wanderer, without clothes, without money, and quite invisible, until he happened to step in some mud and left footprints as he walked. So some words we are getting here, that is muddy, that is covered in or full of mud, imprints, impress or stamps, and mark of quiet lines of the surface there, not clothed or covered, gaze, looked as steadily and intensely, especially in admiration, surprise, or thought, remarkable, worthy of attention, striking size, the facility of power of things, progressing, move forward, or one who's in space of time, fascinated, strongly attracted and interested, Hannah barely the passive, the perceptible, bewildered, perplexed and confused, very puzzled is a compel someone to leave a place. So I hope you understand about this thing that how the Zephyrin they did this wrong and mischiefs. They naturally gave chase. In the end, they was able to escape only by quickly talking of his newly found clothes. So once more he found himself invisible but naked in the chill January air, right? Wonders. So this way we knew about this story. So the shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurs very early in the morning. So a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in the study. Creeping downstairs, they heard the chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk without making any noise. With the poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman plunges up into surrender. Some of the words here they are theatrical, that is relating to acting across other theatre. Shivering, sagging slightly and uncontrollably as a result of being cold. Whiskers are long projecting hair of bristles, callously away that shows insensitive, inappropriate, typically seen in the country in some case, providing accommodations, braggings, more would cause to grow rapidly, solitude, the state of situation of being alone, eccentric, unconventional and slightly strange, curious, strange, unusual, clergyman, a male priest, minister, a religious leader, especially a Christian one, poker, a mid-road with a handle used for proddings and stirrings and open fire, grabs his and whole family. Right? So this way we have completed this story. I hope to think it should rise up against me now. The feelings among their neighbors was that the troubles was caused by was correct. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Halls went to the scientist who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedrooms. I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs, she demanded, and I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you ended a locked room. So this way we have rarely completed. Now you can go through the questions, answer, and so let me know, so that if any problems you are facing, the questions will be: how did the invisible man first become visible? Why was the wandering the invisibles? Miss Hall and this all everything. Okay, so please write or comment or share, so that I would let you know in this next video or in the next online classes. Right? So watch many times, listen many times, so that you